Welcome to my channel. I'm Danny Walker. Today I'm going to teach you how to upcycle this 90s thrifted suit into a Chanel-inspired chain hem suit. If you're new to my channel, please be sure to subscribe for more episodes like this, and don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you know when the new episodes come out each week. The first thing I wanted to do is to crop this blazer. I really like that fit. So I tried it on and I put a pin, which now I'm moving, and I'm just gonna cut right along that line. This fabric is gonna allow me to just easily follow a line, so I didn't take time to measure anything, but I did make sure before cutting the other side that I put the button back on to make sure that it was perfectly aligned, and then I just kept cutting and following the natural tweed pattern around the front, and then I just very carefully continued that for the back. This fabric was super easy to cut because it is a little thicker, it has more structure to it. Before I cut the blazer, I decided to hem this by 1 inch. So now I'm just measuring that and I'm pinning it. And then I just re-measure along the seams to make sure that this is really consistent, and just keep pinning all the way along the edge. You can see that the lining of the jacket is going to be a little bit longer. Just for now, we're gonna fix that later. And then I also still had an extra button, and I decided to cut that one off because I got rid of that buttonhole. Now I am going to be pinning the inside of the lining. I try to line this up pretty close to the edge of the outside. And so now you're gonna see that all of that is pinned, and then we're just gonna be ironing all of this to get a really nice clean hem. And we wanna do this before we finalize what this is gonna look like. Typically after I iron a hem, I do put the jacket or the garment on one more time just to make sure that it looks straight and that I like the look and the length of the piece. If you don't like how it's looking, then you can just repin and re-iron. The next part is just going to be ironing the inside lining. This is more delicate fabric, so do this pretty quickly because you don't want to burn the lining of your jacket. Instead of sewing this piece, we're going to use some heat and bond, which is really easy to use. So you're just going to open it up and cut out some thin strips that are about the width of your hem. And then you're just going to place these directly on the fabric. Make sure that these pieces are shiny side down, like I'm showing you right here. Now, here's what I learned from this project. If you use the light heat and bond on a thick fabric, it does not stick that well. And I want to show you this because I want you to learn from my own mistakes. So I tried ironing this, and that was working okay. And as you can see, like I said, shiny side down, and we're ironing on the top. Then I peeled away that heat and bond, and then I tried flipping my hem, and then I reapplied the iron, and I really let this sit here, but I think that the light version just does not work as well. Next time I will try a heavier heat and bond, but for this project, we just went with what we had. I kind of gave up with that, and I decided instead just to put a pin in this part of the fabric and then keep going using the heat and bond on the lining. This part's really easy, so follow the same steps, shiny side down, and I am placing this on the inside of the lining. This is sort of an extra step I wanted to take. I just wanted there to be a really nice hem inside of it. And you'll see that the heat and bond worked really well with this fabric because it is a much lighter fabric. And then once the inside is lined, you'll see that that was flipped up now. Now I'm going to follow this same step. Like I said, it's a little bit of an extra step, but it's just what I preferred. Now I'm adding heat and bond over the hem that I created. And then I'm just going to just follow that line all the way across the inside. If you try this for yourself, please post it to an Instagram story or post hashtag and tag me at Danny Walker so I could check it out. I'm just going to peel that sticky part. Now I'm going to place that lining onto the outer part of the coat, and I'm just going to iron this down. And it's really important that as you're ironing this down that you are not pulling that lining tight across the fabric. If you do that, you could get some pulling that you don't want. So I'm making sure that I do not pull that lining all the way to the edge. I'm giving it a little bit of space. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, share this episode with your friends, and give it a thumbs up if you're enjoying it. Since the heat and bond didn't work so well on the edges, I decided just to hand stitch this part of the jacket so that everything was closed up really nicely. I didn't want to use a sewing machine because I didn't want the stitches to run all the way through the jacket. This is just what I wanted to do, but it's totally up to you how you want to add the finishing touches. What I decided to do just to make sure that everything would stay in place is to add just a couple of really tiny little stitches that you can barely see right here at each of the seams. To make the trim, I found some chain and then some ribbon. I found that it was much easier after a few weaves to add a knot at the end, and then I continued to weave this piece back and forth between the chain. It's also important that you keep that chain really straight in order to prevent any twisting along the way. And then as you're doing this, you're just going to keep pulling that through. At the very end, I just anchored this down by adding a few stitches at the end, so around that ribbon and linking that chain piece together. That's how it looks. I've never done this before, so I decided to start in the back just in case I had any issues with this so I can kind of cover up my mistakes. And I just started hand stitching this chain. What I realized is that I only needed to add a few stitches about every 5 chain links. That's just what I liked and it worked best for me. I don't think that it's necessary to sew down every single individual chain unless you really want to. I tried different ways of sewing this down, and I think you just have to find whichever method is going to be best for you, but you do have to be careful along the way because that ribbon does like to twist. So you want to make sure that as you're sewing each chain link down to straighten that ribbon and untwist it before stitching it. I got the gold chain and turquoise ribbon at Hobby Lobby, and I decided to go with those two because I really wanted to bring out these strands of the turquoise tweed on this jacket. Here's how it looked after I added the trim around the edge of the jacket and then also around the pockets. And after looking at it, I decided that it really wasn't enough for my personal style and liking, so I decided to keep going and I added more trim to the cuffs, and then I wanted the skirt to match, so later I added even more to the hem of the skirt. Here's the finished product. I'm so happy with it. If you want to see more upcycles like this, then check out this other recent episode right here in the corner. And if you're interested in buying any of my pieces, then follow me on Instagram at Danny Walker and check out my for sale highlight. Aside from that, thanks for watching. I hope you're subscribed, that you love this and share it with friends, and then try it out for yourself. I hope you come back for the next one.